The shark in the dorm. In 2003, Harvard was a playground for the world's future masters of the universe. But inside the mahogany walls of the Kirkland House dorms, a heist was being planned. Not for money, but for the future of human connection. Meet the Winklevoss twins, 6'5" Olympic rowers, born into wealth, connected. They had the ultimate idea, Harvard Connection, a social network for the elite. They had the vision, the status, and the funding. The only thing they lacked was the ability to actually build it. Enter Mark, a 19-year-old sophomore in a grey hoodie. To the twins, he was just a hired hand, a service provider. What they didn't realize was that they had just invited a shark into their office. They gave him the logic, the plan, and the keys to their intellectual property. They thought they had an employee. They actually had a competitor who was already 3 steps ahead of them. The digital ghosting. The deal was simple. Mark builds the site, gets a small stake, and the twins launch their empire. But the silence started almost immediately. For months, the twins sent emails. How's the code? When can we see a demo? Mark's responses were masterclasses in corporate stalling. Over 52 emails were exchanged. Mark would say he was busy with schoolwork or fixing bugs. It was a lie. While the twins were attending social mixers and planning the launch, Mark was fueled by Red Bull in a dark room, writing a completely different set of code. He wasn't fixing their bugs, he was building their coffin. He realized that the twins' idea was too small. They wanted a club. Mark wanted a planet. He used the time they gave him to ensure that by the time they realized what was happening, it would already be too late to stop him. The explosion. February 4th, 2004. The twins woke up to a nightmare. The Facebook.com was live. It wasn't the site they had discussed. It was faster, cleaner, and it was spreading like a virus. Within 24 hours, over 1,200 students had joined. Within a month, half of Harvard was on it. The twins were blindsided. They claimed Mark had stolen their idea, their code, and their window of opportunity. They went to the Harvard administration, pleading for justice, but the dean had a message that would define the next 2 decades of Silicon Valley. Harvard doesn't decide who owns an idea, the market does. Mark didn't just move fast, he broke the twins' entire reality. He proved that in the digital age, a great idea is worth exactly $0. Execution is the only currency that matters. The $65 million consolation prize. The legal war was brutal. It lasted years. The twins wanted blood. They wanted the company. They wanted Mark's head on a platter. Eventually, they settled. The price? $65 million in cash and Facebook stock. At the time, the world looked at that number and thought the twins had won. $65 million for a college project? That's a lottery ticket. But Mark knew the math. He knew that $65 million was a rounding error. He paid them off to get them out of his sight so he could focus on the real goal, total global dominance. He traded a few $1 million for the right to own the most powerful data machine in human history. To the twins, the settlement was a victory. To Mark, it was just the cost of doing business, the final boss. Fast forward to 2026. Mark Zuckerberg is no longer the kid in the hoodie. He is a sovereign entity. He doesn't just run a company, he runs an ecosystem. When you open Instagram, he's there. When you message on WhatsApp, he's there. When you step into the Metaverse, you are stepping into his world. The Winklevoss twins are wealthy, yes. They are successful Bitcoin investors. But they are footnotes in a story titled Zuckerberg. They are the what if of history. Mark outsmarted them by realizing a fundamental truth about wealth. Being rich is having a high salary or a big settlement. Being wealthy is owning the system that everyone else has to use. He didn't win because he was the nice guy. He won because he was the most essential person in the room. The student who outsmarted everyone didn't just build a website. He built a mirror of society and then charged us for the privilege of looking into it. So ask yourself, in your business, are you the one with the brilliant idea? Or are you the one holding the code? Because history only remembers the person who hits enter.